रहीमन पानी राखिए बिन पानी सब सून पानी गए न उबरे मोती मानुस चून. Yes, I'm going to talk about water. Water, elixir of life. Water that sustains any kind of life form on this earth. But before talking about water, I will also start with a question. When you hear the word water, what comes to your mind first? And in all probability, what you will think, what will come to your mind would be water scarcity, a water crisis. We keep hearing that how per capita availability of water has been going down over the years. Today, per capita availability of water in India is 1/4 than what it used to be at the time of independence. We also learn that in India, the rainfall patterns are very skewed, both over time and space. Most of our rains are confined to monsoon months. In India, at one place, let's say in northeast, you will get more than a few thousand millimeters of rainfall. Then you also have areas where you get less than a couple of hundred millimeters of rainfall. But before proceeding further, I'll ask you another question. How many of you know what is the average rainfall which our country gets? Our country gets annually more than 1,000 millimeters of rainfall. If you look at the data of last 10 years, it would be something between 1,000 to 1,300 millimeter rainfall. Let's look at the data from another country. How much average rainfall Israel gets? It gets less than 500 millimeter rainfall. 478 to be precise over the last few years. But then you may ask, why have you chosen Israel to make a comparison with India? As our rainfall is very skewed over time and space, so is the case with Israel. Israel, southern areas of Israel gets about less than 25 millimeter of rainfall. Northern areas gets about 1,000 millimeter plus of rainfall. From May to mid-October, they also don't get any rainfall. So both the countries, as far as the distribution of rainfall is concerned, are similar. But while India gets more than 1,000 millimeter of rainfall, Israel gets less than 500 millimeter rainfall. But then why is it that we talk of all water scarcity and water crisis in India, and we don't talk of water crisis or water scarcity in a country like Israel? And the answer lies in the way we manage our water. So it's not how much water you have, how do you manage your water is what is important. Now, when we talk of managing water, there are two aspects of it: demand side management and supply side management. When we talk of supply side management, it's akin to increasing your income. When we talk of demand side management, it is akin to reducing your expenditure. Now, in India, over the years, emphasis has been basically on supply side management. These days, everybody knows about something called temples of modern India. Nowadays, maybe IIT and IIMs and maybe NIFTs are also called temples of modern India. But do you know when was this term first used and who used it? Our first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, when he went to inaugurate, or rather lay the foundation stone of Bhakra Dam, he called it a temple of modern India. So for a lot, everybody thought that solutions to India's water woes, to ensure water security for the country, we need to make large dams. Now, this is not a forum where we should debate whether large dams are good for the country or large dams are bad for the country. There are people who think that the only way water security of the country can be assured is through large dams. We did have a very large number of large dams, but then there are people who call it dam the dams. There is a movement in the West of breaking many of the dams as well. Anyway, we will not debate that right now. But my point is that the only way to augment supply of water? There is a need to make a paradigm shift. I have dealt water for more than 6 years in the government, and I feel that the paradigm shift should be from big to a small. Small is beautiful. Why do you need to store all the water in one big dam, displacing thousands and lakhs of people, affecting the environment adversely, acquiring huge land? Can we not do it in a very small water structures? See, our is a country where we had very large number of water bodies. Your own city, Bangalore, is known even today as city of lakes. How many lakes are there right now, and in what condition? Every city used to have more than 1,000 water bodies. The city I live in, Delhi, used to have 1,000 water bodies. They all have disappeared because we have not respected, and we have not done enough to revive those water bodies, to preserve those water bodies. So instead of only concentrating on large dams, can we not have millions and millions of structures, small structures where water could be stored? I remember when I was working as Secretary, Ministry of Jal Shakti, our minister gave a presentation to members of parliament, and where he asked, do you know which is the largest water storage structure? And so a number of MPs volunteered. Someone said Hirakud Dam, someone said Krishnaraj Sagar Dam, someone said Sardar Sarovar, someone said some other dam. And then our minister said that the largest water storage structure is groundwater. Every year in the aquifers beneath our earth, the groundwater aquifers stores more water than all the dams put together. So the need of the hour is basically to recharge the groundwater. Anyway, I wanted to talk more about demand side management here, because our emphasis so far has been on supply side management. But before I talk about demand side management, I would ask you another figure or another query I will make. Do you know how many liters of water on an average in a city which has a municipal water supply a person uses? The norms is 135 liter per person per day. There are cities which uses more than 200 liters, and in my own Delhi, there are areas which uses 400 to 600 liter of water every day. Do we really need to use that much of water? We all need to introspect and really think of ways of cutting down. We all know about carbon footprints. Just now you heard about the carbon footprints. Many of you are working to reduce the carbon footprints. How many of we know about the water footprints? A morning cup of coffee, which I and many of you take, you know what is the water footprint of that one cup of coffee? It's 140 liter. To just stated, one cotton shirt has a water footprint of 2,700 liters. The pair of leather shoes I am wearing has a water footprint of 8,000 liters. In India, you know where the maximum water gets consumed? The maximum water gets consumed in agriculture, about 89% of it. And what is the water use efficiency? 35% to 40%. That means we use 2 to 3 times more water than actually is needed. We don't need to irrigate field, we need to irrigate only plants. Do we grow the crops which we should be growing in a particular area depending on the water availability? No, we don't grow crops as per the agroclimatic conditions. We grow sugar in Maharashtra, we grow paddy in Punjab. Punjab was not growing any paddy till 1980s or so. Today, Punjab grows a lot of paddy, and with what results are you aware? In 10 to 15 years time, there are many blocks in Punjab and Haryana which will absolutely run out of water. We will not have water even to drink, forget about water to irrigate. Of course, it has to do also with certain policies. We have a procurement policy which works for sugarcane, which works for wheat, which works for paddy, and that's what farmers grow. We have a policy in a state like Punjab of free electricity, and so farmer keeps pumping day in and day out without bothering the status of the groundwater. So anyway, the idea here is not to talk so much about policy, because that is something which I and you, most of you sitting here, wouldn't be able to do much. But then there are examples of water management, not only in Israel, back here. And that is the need, because so far our water management has been left primarily to the government. But water is too precious a thing to be left to the government for its management. We can manage. I'll just give you 2-3 examples. I don't know how many of you have heard of a village called Hibre Bazar. Hibre Bazar is a village which is in Ahmednagar district of Maharashtra. Ahmednagar is again one district, the area which is known for water scarcity. Today you go to Hibre Bazar, you will find all houses pakka. There were about 1,250 people live there. 60 of them are at least millionaires. You find immaculate roads there. You have a bustling market there. You will find green fields all around. And just rewind it to 1970s. That was the village which didn't have even one pakka house. Fields were barren. 90% of the villages have migrated basically in search of some kind of livelihood to the city. Tube-wells were dry. And then came a man called Popat Rao Pawar. He had just graduated. He came back to the village. And then all he started was basically he started reviving water harvesting structures, ponds and tanks and bunds, and started constructing wells. And things really changed. There is a village called Laporia in Rajasthan. Again, there was a man who didn't have a formal education called Lakshman Singh. He has a system of what they call a chauka system. And that village had the similar story as compared like Hibre Bazar. But today, not only that village, there are 58 other villages in the area which has absolutely no dearth of water. I have been sometimes back, maybe a year back, to a village called Jakhni. Jakhni village is in Bundelkhand, region of Uttar Pradesh. Again, Bundelkhand is one place which is known for a scarcity of water. And they did not do any magic. All they had is, they basically had a slogan called Khet pe mer and mer pe per. Mera mer bandi. All they did is they put basically a bunds around their fields. All they did is, their slogan was, घर का पानी घर में, खेत का पानी खेत में, गांव का पानी गांव में. The slogan today is, which I had also started when I was Secretary of Water Resources, was catch the rain where it falls when it falls. And today you go to the Jakhni village and there is absolutely no dearth of water. So there are examples in India where with proper community involvement, it has been possible to solve the problem of water. At the end, I would like to speak something which has been my kind of a favorite thing. And so you all know about 3 R's of water. Sorry, 3 R's. 3 R's, reading, writing and arithmetic. Similarly, everybody knows about 3 R's of water. Reduce, recycle, reuse. I have added basically 2 R's. The 4th R is recharge. We must recharge groundwater. आप धरती माँ को पानी पिलाओगे, धरती माँ आपको पानी पिलाएगी. Today there is a problem of urban flooding. Why there is urban flooding? One, of course, is that you get a very kind of a skewed rainfall because of the climatic changes. But more than that, our development means concretization. Everywhere we have concreted, we have made concretes everywhere. We have killed our water bodies. So when the rain falls, where will it go? It can't soak into the ground. It can't go to our water bodies. So basically it enters our houses and we have urban flooding. So basically the fourth R, which is recharge, is very important. But the most important is the fifth R. Fifth R is respect. Somewhere down the line, we have forgotten our respect for the water. Ours was a country where we used to worship water, but on the way somehow we have lost that respect. We will have to bring back the respect for the water. So the friends, I am sure that a country which has more than 1,000 millimeter rainfall cannot be facing water crisis. I remember when I joined as Secretary of Water Resources, I also used to make all presentations where I used to say how India is suffering one of its worst water crisis. And by the time I left, I said, how can a country which has more than 1,000 millimeter of rainfall could be facing a water crisis? So if we all work together, there is no rocket science involved. We need to know water, we need to work for it, and then we can make India a water secure country. I feel that we can do it. खम ठोक ठेलता है जब नर पर्वत के जाते पांव खर, मानव जब जोर लगाता है पत्थर पानी बन जाता है. Thank you very much.